right, guys, welcome back to another video. We have lots to talk about today, from this Game Pass rumor to new games being announced. Then we'll end it off with a thing everybody's keeping on their mind and keeping their eyes open for, which is the decision for the Xbox Activision Blizzard acquisition that is going to be coming down from Judge Corley. But let's start off here. There was a rumor that was going around throughout the day, and it got squashed at the end of the day, and that is, it looked like Diablo 4 was going to be making its way out on to Xbox Game Pass. There was a Brazilian payment app called PicPay, and they recently said Diablo 4 is going to be available on Game Pass. You see Diablo 4 in the picture here saying play it now, or available now, get it now, or play it through Xbox Game Pass. This had people thinking that this was hinting Xbox was preparing for this deal to be closed to start putting out the games onto the service. I mean, we do know if this deal does pass, if it does close, Activision Blizzard games will be making their way onto the service. I do think Diablo 4 is going to be on Xbox Game Pass at some point, but obviously as of right now, they can't say anything. They can't hint at this happening. It's the same thing with the Bethesda deal, where before that deal was closed, they really couldn't give us any information onto what was going to happen with all of the Bethesda games. So we have Mike Ybarra, who also now came out and squashed this rumor, saying that this is not happening. And of course, what is he going to say? He's not going to say it is happening, because that would look bad, I think, for this deal, for Xbox, all that type of stuff. But I do believe at some point Diablo 4 will make its way out onto Xbox Game Pass. I do believe a majority of the catalog will be in the service, and it's going to be awesome to see a bunch of these games coming in, which is one of the reasons, or the main reason, I would say, most gamers on Xbox want to see this deal go through, to get access to all these games on the subscription service on Xbox Game Pass, the best deal in gaming that is seemingly going to get even better with Activision Blizzard stuff. But if you were looking at this and thinking this was hinting that it is coming sooner rather than later, as of right now, based off of what Mike says, it isn't happening. But I mean, Diablo is a perfect game to launch into the service. Now, when it comes to other games, we just got Jedi Survivor, which by all accounts, gameplay wise, story wise, all of that stuff, is a phenomenal game. Obviously, it had its issues at release with all of the technical issues, and we see that pretty much in the majority of big AAA games these days. They release them, there are a ton of issues, and then they go back later and fix those issues. And we got some information as well last week about why these studios probably have to do this, and it is because of the cost to keep paying employees and keep these games in development every single month. They're astronomical, especially with big AAA games. We saw the numbers for Sony's first party games, over $200 million plus to make those games. And it was like $15,000 per employee per month, with hundreds and hundreds of employees actually working on these games. In fact, it is right here for games like The Last of Us stuff. There's just so many employees working on this, with, they say, reflects headcount costs at a total rate of $3 million per month, which is just an astronomical number to continuously put that out and keep games in development for a very long time. The cost of creating these big AAA games is just going to continue to rise, which is why I think we are starting to see more games release with these bugs, so they can get it past that point, probably cut some of the staff down who are working on these games, cut some of the overhead costs, and try to fix the patches while being able to generate revenue off of the game itself, and get the numbers ready for the financials with the quarterly reports for the shareholders. All that type of stuff, I think, goes into why these games do come out buggy. But when it comes to Star Wars Jedi Survivor, even we just got it, it looks like they are hiring now for a third Star Wars game, which, I mean, exciting, because the Jedi series from Respawn is a great series, and it was one of those games that kind of saved EA once they got that 10-year license to the Star Wars IP. They had a lot of misses in those 10 years, especially with the whole Battlefront 2 debacle, and then Jedi Survivor, Jedi Fallen Order, and Respawn came in and saved it, in my opinion. Now, this is where this assumption is coming from, and this news is coming from. It says here that shortly before Star Wars Jedi Survivor's release in April, series director Stig Asmussen said he hoped to make a trilogy of games, saying it's a pretty safe assumption that a third game in the series would see Respawn from the Unreal Engine 4 to Unreal Engine 5 demos. So they're going to switch from Unreal Engine 4 to Unreal Engine 5, which I think would be really, really cool to see. And also this here, I always wanted to see this as a trilogy. How can we take Cal and the crew to new places beyond what we are doing in the first game? It says we had a pretty decent idea of time frame where we wanted Survivor to take place, what the stakes were going to be and what the tone of the game was going to be, what Cal was going to be up against, and how the crew was going to factor into that. And there's ideas that we could go do beyond that as well. So the reason why specifically, not only those statements there, why they believe there is going to be a third game, is because they're actually specifically hiring for Unreal Engine 5 experience, a big plus in a VFX job description, which you could guess this is their transition from Unreal Engine 4 over to Unreal Engine 5. So if you're a Star Wars fan, if you're a Jedi fan, looks like a third game is going to be starting in development pretty soon. Can expect it to hear about it at least in the next couple of years, and who knows how long it will be between the releases. But the release from Jedi Fallen Order, which I believe was a 2019 release, to Jedi Survivor, a 2023 release, it was about 4 years. So we probably can expect this game in about 2027. Now let's talk about some more success with games dropping into Xbox Game Pass, and that is Ravenlock, which was a fun little third-person action adventure game that did drop into the service. It is an indie game, and a lot of people really did enjoy it. But what we have found out now is that it actually has been very successful, and one of those big successes is because of Xbox Game Pass itself. We get to see here some player numbers overall as to how many people have actually played the game. So this question here was asked: what's it like to have over 500,000 people playing Ravenlock? Says it's a dream come true for us to have so many people playing Ravenlock on Game Pass with over 500,000 players in 6 weeks. This is an incredible milestone, and we're grateful to all Ravenlock players and fans on Xbox. Thank you for playing Ravenlock. We hope that you enjoy the adventure. So that's a lot of people. I know it's not like millions and millions of people, but for a small game like Ravenlock that probably wasn't really on the radar of that many people when it did release into the service, 500,000 players is a milestone, I think, for these developers that they are extremely happy with, as they say here. And for Xbox, I mean, they are seeing that return of getting 500,000 of these subscribers to Xbox Game Pass to actually be interested in a game like this. And that's kind of how they really do measure their success, is the amount of players, the amount of people actually engaging with the subscription service, with the games that launch into the service. And a game like this doing that, I think, is a good thing. And if you're a small indie developer out there, you're seeing this type of stuff. I don't think Ravenlock and the devs there would have expected 500,000 people to organically go out and play their game if they were just to release it into all of the console stores and PC and all of that type of stuff. I feel like the fact that it's hit that number really shows the power of Xbox Game Pass and how it can elevate some of these lesser known games, some of these smaller games that would have just been hidden under all of the other stuff. It's one of the things we've heard about previously when it comes to the actual stores on the PlayStation and on Xbox, where Xbox, you have the ID at Xbox service and the ID at Xbox program where indie devs have a better chance to be able to get their games discovered. And then we saw reports, I believe it was last year or something, about how indie devs were not happy with the PlayStation side of things because it was extremely hard to get noticed whatsoever. You had to have all of these different things for your game, all of these different requirements. And if you didn't hit those requirements, you just got buried under everything else. Mostly the games that PlayStation want to show, the big AAA games, their first party games, the ones that make them the most money. Not saying that Xbox doesn't do that to some extent, but it does seem like ID at Xbox for indie devs is a very good program for increasing visibility, especially if it gets into Game Pass. So it's pretty cool to see Ravenlock doing well. And hey, maybe we will see more from the developers of Ravenlock bringing their games on to Xbox Game Pass. We got this announcement here as well, which is very exciting. I'm excited about this. I like Black Panther. I think there's so much you can do in a single player action game with this IP, and it's been in the rumors for a while. It is coming. Black Panther officially announced, coming from the new EA studio Cliffhanger. And here is what they say. We're dedicated to delivering fans a definitive and authentic Black Panther experience, giving them more agency and control over their narrative than they have ever experienced in a story-driven video game. Wakanda is a super rich superhero sandbox, and our mission is to develop an epic world for players who love Black Panther and want to explore the world of Wakanda as much as we do. So that's a lot of Marvel games. You got Black Panther, got the Iron Man game coming. We have Spider-Man 2 on PlayStation, Wolverine on PlayStation, and Marvel games are quickly coming back to prominence, and it makes sense. I mean, with how popular the universe is, how popular the movies are. But I'm pretty excited for this. There's no official platforms announced, but you can expect this game to be multi-platform. What is cool is that in Cliffhanger Studios, it is an EA studio, but they have developers who works across so many different games. Middle Earth Shadow of Mordor, which I absolutely love that game. So to see the lead Kevin Stevens from Monolith Productions on this game is pretty cool. And they say also veterans of top franchises, including Halo Infinite, God of War, and Call of Duty. So I think this is going to be one of those games to keep your eye on for a third-person action adventure game in the Marvel Universe. Like I said, I'm pretty excited to see what they do with this. How big of an open world is it going to be? Is it going to be more linear? All that type of stuff. I would love to see exploration for sure, and just a really robust combat system, because at the end of the day, that to me will be the most important things with all of these Marvel games, is how good is that combat? How snappy is it? We all think about combat from other superhero games. I mean, the Spider-Man combat is good, but the best combat, I think, is the Batman Arkham series. That combat is phenomenal. So hopefully we get something similar to that. Now let's move on here. We saw this, and this, we're going to end off here talking about the Xbox and Microsoft and FTC stuff. Two things here. We didn't get the announcement yesterday. Now, again, people are saying it's going to be today, or people are saying it's going to be Wednesday. I'm not even going to try to predict a day anymore. We're going to get it when we get it. So we'll just wait until we get it. You'll obviously see a video from me talking about what the decision is and what all that stuff means. But we did see this because there is a lot of talk about Lina Khan. A lot of people don't have confidence in her, especially when everything we've seen so far with Xbox and Activision Blizzard from the FTC's arguments that seem extremely weak, seeming like it is just a power grab and wanting to be the agency here that comes out and is able to stand up to big tech and a company like Microsoft and say that they blocked a deal. We have this, though. This is from Roberto Serrano and the Washington Examiner. It says Federal Trade Commission Chairwoman Lina Khan will testify Thursday before the U.S. House Judiciary Committee. She has refused to turn over documents to Congress, and this act places Khan under the shadow of potential contempt of Congress charges. So who knows what is going on here? I'm not American, so I don't fully understand the entire political side of this when it comes to why she want to give documents over, and is she actually going to get charged with any sort of contempt of Congress stuff? Who knows? But this is what's happening right now, right in the middle, as we are waiting on the decision from Judge Corley for the preliminary injunction. And it doesn't seem like it is a very good look here for the FTC. And then we also have why we've been waiting for a decision since the end of last week, because people thought even Thursday, Friday last week, their decision was going to come out. Then Monday, that was for sure the day. Now a lot of people are pointing to Wednesday. I haven't seen too many people about Tuesday, but Wednesday seems like the date. But we don't know, because it's the same thing that happened with the CMA. A lot of people said there's no way that they are going to block this deal. The arguments just aren't there. And then what happened? They went ahead and blocked this deal, which is why I'm always saying I'm not going to say whether it's going to happen one way or another, because I mean, looking at it objectively from my armchair analysis, seems like Xbox has the much better argument. Seems like there is no real theories of harm here that can be proven in any way from what we've seen from console, cloud, and everything that was presented within the trial. But again, you never know. But here is from IDAS, and this is kind of what IDAS says why we are waiting. I'll just get it open here so it's easier to see. It says, in the normal process and according to data from the last decade, a decision like this one would take around 40 days, so by early August. But we have been expecting a decision during the last few days since last Thursday for different reasons. One of the motives for such an unusual speedy process was the outside date of the deal, July 18th. So we know that they were going to go ahead and close this deal before or by July 18th. That's what Microsoft was going to do, which kind of provoked this whole temporary restraining order to see whether a preliminary injunction would be granted or not, so that they can't do that. It says here, we went from the FTC filing the PI June 12th to the conference management June 21st in less than 10 days. I think that normally this happens in 3 to 4 weeks. Then on the other hand, Judge Corley said that she wanted to give enough time to the parties to appeal before July 18th. So that is, I guess, another thing, because right now it's the 11th. They will only have, if the decision is made today, 5 days to appeal. It's business days, right? You don't count the weekends on that. So, and if they do it on Wednesday, it's even less time. I guess the longer it takes, the less chance that the parties are actually going to be able to appeal before the 18th. It says, at the same time, we know that Microsoft has to wait 5 business days to close if the PI is denied, which again, very interesting, because I mean, it really pushing it close to those 5 days. And it says, this is why we have been waiting for a decision since the end of last week. Technically, it could happen tomorrow too. Although in that case, we have to take the outside date, July 18th, as one of those 5 business days. A bit unusual but possible. In any case, the day is still young, and the majority of decisions from Judge Corley during the Gamers lawsuit happened very late in the day. And it didn't happen yesterday, so that's out the window. So today and tomorrow, it seems like are the days to keep your eyes open as to whether a decision is going to be made. And if it's not, then I don't know what happens with this whole 5 days to appeal and 5 days to actually close this deal. And again, like it says here, probably would assume that the 18th is one of those 5 business days that gets included in this. But I'm going to leave the video there, guys. Let me know your thoughts on this. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up. If you are new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.